guys. Good to see so many friendly, familiar faces in this room. Welcome to our Austin, Texas musicians, St. Edwards, BMI, and Mechanical Licensing Collective Musicians Master Class. We're so honored to start this partnership with St. Edwards University and continuing to bring you guys this really vital education to help develop your professional careers in music. So, yeah, this is great. And what a beautiful room it is today, too, right? And I never thought I'd be in the big Hogwarts castle up here on the hill in Austin, and realize I got such a nice view downtown, too. So, but anyway, y'all, I'm so glad you're here. We're going to get started with the program in just a minute. I just wanted to do a quick thanks to our partners here today. St. Edwards University back there. Thank you guys so much. Back in the fall, our esteemed board member Bruce met with Colin Gillenwater here and began this conversation around what would it look like to really have St. Edwards lean into some education around the music community, things like that. And so that's kind of how this idea got started. We'd also like to thank the provost here, Marianne Ward Paradisa, and Colin, of course, our Director of Partnerships and Professional Studies. Also here with St. Ed's, Dr. David Thomason. You're going to meet him in a little while when we walk over to the carriage house to do our little reception with my buddy Jay Stanley, providing some jazz guitar for us. I don't know if you know Jay, but he's awesome. Miss Boyd Schuler, I think she was back there a moment ago on marketing. Thank you for partnering with us on this. And Kristen, where are you? Oh, right there. Kristen Townsend, creative coordinator with BMI. Yeah, please give it up. Yeah. And y'all know, literally straight up the street here on South Congress, BMI has an office. They're literally overlooking Perla's restaurant down there. They have a great writing room. They're always available to talk to you guys. We're so happy to have them in town. So if y'all are tapped in with your performance rights organization, BMI is the one. They stake a claim here in Austin, and it's really, really valuable to have them here with us. Jamie Dominguez from the Mechanical Licensing Collective. There you are, Jamie. Yeah. We've worked with Jamie a couple of times now. The Mechanical Licensing Collective is based out of DC and Nashville, and they've been so wonderful this is their third time to come down into town and do this thing with us. But I gotta say, Jamie, I think this is probably the fanciest days they've let us in thus far, right? So this is great. Before we continue, we're going to get the program started here, but I want to bring up Colin Gillenwater real quick, maybe just to say a couple of words about the partnership and what you can expect with St. Edwards expanding into this type of program. So.
Thank you so much, Pat. It's great to have everyone here. We're really excited. I was telling everyone in the elevator that St. Edwards got a lot cooler today. A bunch of musicians and folks here, and that's really amplifies what we do. We are really pumped. The next handful of the classes will be here at St. Ed's, and over the summer we're looking at trying to build a unique program together that not either one of our institutions quite does, and so we can really serve the community in a new way. So thank you so much, Pat. Thank you so much to all you folks out there. Let's get started and rolling. Great.
So we're going to get moving here. Let's see, first up, let me come on down the aisle. Jamie Dominguez from the Mechanical Licensing Collective. We're going to learn a little bit about how to get into performance royalties. I can try to explain it to you guys, but after many years doing this stuff, I'm still learning.
Are we switching it?
Yeah, let's yes. Oh yeah, great point. Did you guys find parking okay? Are y'all in the green and yellow lots? Okay, and did you scan the QR code to register your vehicle? How many were able to do that? Okay, and if you did not, if for any reason you get a parking ticket, let us know. They're not going to tow your car. We'll get the ticket taken care of, and it's like literally no big deal. So don't fret if you go out and see something on your car. Yeah, Kristen's first. Did I misread this?
I thought you were just being rock and roll.
It's okay, so let's just go to the next slide. Let's just go to the next slide.
I'm here either way, so.
You're absolutely right. Look at that.
That's okay, we just go to the next slide.
Okay, so let's see. There we go.
There she is.
Look at that. Kristen Townsend, come on down. Very good.
Hi everyone, how are everything? I'm Kristen Townsend. I am the creative coordinator for the BMI office here in Austin. I've been with BMI, will be for 7 years in September. Mitch Ballard, he's our executive director. He couldn't be here today, but he and I kind of tag team and work everything we can in Austin and surrounding Oklahoma, Louisiana, New Mexico, Colorado, kind of anywhere and everywhere where people come to us. So our office is just right down the street, like Pat said, right above Pearl's on South Congress. So who all knows what a PRO is? Everybody who signed up for a PRO? Awesome. So BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC, and now GMR are the PROs for the United States. BMI has been around since 1939, and BMI was started by broadcasters who were predominantly in the blues, jazz, country space, because ASCAP wasn't receptive of those types of genres of music yet. So BMI was started by broadcasters and had an open door policy. We still have that open door policy today. Anybody can join BMI as a songwriter and or publisher if they are not a member of another PRO already. So BMI, Performing Rights, PRO is a performing rights organization. We handle all of your songwriting and publishing performance royalties. There's two sides to every song. There's the mechanical side, which the MLC handles, and then the performance side, which BMI handles. We collect and distribute your royalties from streaming, radio, TV and film, and then live concerts that you submit via BMI Live. I'll talk about a little bit more about that in a minute. So when you first sign up for BMI, it's free to join. If you aren't a member, it's free to join. And you'll go in and fill out your application. It's very quick, very easy. And then once you get signed up, you'll go in and register your songs. If you'd like to create a publishing company, you can. It's not required by BMI to have one. But you can still collect your publishing royalties through your songwriter account. So once you get in there and get all your songs registered, then you will basically, and also if you sign up for direct deposit, you get paid faster. So that's a little, it's $250. You have to make it via paper check before you can get a check in the statement. If you sign up for direct deposit, it's $2. So you get paid faster signing up for direct deposit. You will then, you can go, if you play your songs out live, you can go and register your set list with BMI Live. It's all in your online services account, which is kind of like your hub of everything that you need BMI. You'll register works there, if you need to change your address, if you need to submit BMI Live set list, that's where you'll do it all there. So if you play your songs out live, if you go into BMI Live and then set up a performance, say I played at Continental Club, I played these songs on this date, this time, and then you submit that set list, and you can do that for all of your shows going back 6 months, which is a really great tool. Some people do it once a month, some people do it once a week. Go in and put their set list in. It's kind of whatever works for you as long as you put them in. You also are paid that way, so it's really nice. Additional income. Spark. BMI has on our online services program, we now have a new component called Spark. It's benefits for our songwriters. There's discounts, there's healthcare information, you get a free pair of eyeglasses just for being a member of BMI. And all of this is listed in your online services account under Spark. So, yeah, the information that is in there will be changing every quarter. They're adding new partners. There's discounts for plugins, there's discounts for making CDs, there's discounts for like other different software that musicians use. So it's a really great tool, and I've got some more information in the back too about it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Let's see. So BMI, once you get your songs registered and they're, playing with Spotify, things like that, you'll start receiving your royalty statements. Once you receive those, you'll see the breakdowns of where all of your sources kind of come from. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, TikTok, all the different digital service providers. And then you'll be able to see where those performances come from each quarter. If you have this publisher account, you'll also receive a separate statement for your publishing account. Do we have any questions so far? Let's start there. No? All right. Okay. So once you are entering all your songs and your statements, you can start getting statements. That's pretty much, it'll just happen quarterly. We pay quarterly. And locally here, in most of our offices, we have 7 offices all around the country, 1 in London. We host different types of showcases. Here in Austin, we do our monthly showcase called the Acoustic Lounge at Saxon Pub. It's the first Wednesday of every month. So Wednesday we'll have 6 songwriters from 6 to 7:30, each doing 3 individual songs, 3 original songs. Sorry, in a songwriter round. So that's every first Wednesday of the month. I'm so sorry. So once. I know that we've had people participate here. Tate's been on one. Trying to think if anybody else has been on one. But we have a good wait list for that. But it's, if you email, I can happily give you my card. Our email, just our Austin email is austin@bmi.com. If you're interested in performing, we have a wait list, but I'm happy to get you on. And we feature 6 songwriters all over Texas. That's some from outside of Texas that we feature each month. So that's a really fun showcase that we do. We also have been doing a showcase at Still Austin called Sounds at Still. We are moving that now to Gueros. It's going to be called Plug and Play, kind of branded with our Nashville office. They have a showcase called Plug and Play in Nashville now. So we're going to keep it consistent throughout the brand. But that'll be at Gueros, and that'll be a full band showcase. Basically anything but country music is kind of that showcase, because we typically our songwriter night at Saxon is a little heavier on the countryside, which is fine. We like to, and then annually we'll do a rap and hip hop showcase called BMI Vibes that we host. So we do those little showcases. We also have a day party during South by Southwest. We host some events with Yeti, and then we have our stage at ACL that we also help book for. Sure.
For that showcase, is that application based, or do you just knowing which artists are in Austin?
So anybody can, if you're a BMI member and you can play 3 songs original acoustic, you can be on our wait list if you do the showcase. It's not an application. We just put it on a wait list and I try to pick 6 people that typically wouldn't do a songwriter all together. Just have some diversity, get to know some other songwriters. A lot of people after the showcase will be like, hey, can we exchange information, things like that. Which leads to co-writes and just other songwriters knowing each other. Another thing that we have at our office here is a room. We have 2 spaces that we can use as a writer's room. So we book those out. When we're in the office, we're in the office 3 days a week, sometimes 4 depending on the week. But we book out our writer's room and we have people in all the time.
Is there a fee for the?
No, there's no fee to use the writer's room. You could just email us and we can schedule it. It's just within business hours. Sure.
So on the site, whenever we're there, there is a songwriter split option for people. What happens when an artist accidentally puts them as a split when they did not write the song, and the split is specifically for the publisher split on there? I was reading about that. Happened to me. An artist decided to load up on her BMI a song that I wrote, and I just got a notice from y'all, and that's the first one that's ever happened. So do I go in there and request a correction, or does the artist need to do that? I just got it.
Is the song already registered in your catalog?
It is.
Okay, then yeah, that shouldn't have been registered through the system.
I don't know if she did it the same day. We just released it too.
But you're both writers on it?
No.
Oh.
So I don't know how she did that, because she
Maybe
did.
she was confused. Yeah, we can get it fixed. I can help email our writer, works update team and get it updated for you.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'll contact you.
Sure. Yeah, if you ever register a song, if you ever have an issue registering a song, you accidentally forget somebody, sometimes people put the wrong percentage, they get confused. I'm happy to help get those updated and get a forward team to get them figured out.
Do you prefer that a phone call or a person?
Email's best because I have to attach our communications to that email so they put them on file. So email is best, yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, I was wondering, when we record our songs on our set list, we get paid for our own originals.
Yeah, any song, BMI pays songwriters and publishers, so any song that you write, you would put in your BMI account, and then if you play that live, you would be paid for that. So if you do a song that's a Gary Clark Jr. song, Gary Clark would be paid for that, because it's not required to register covers, but those people get paid for them. If
Well, that
you
was
do.
my next question, thanks for answering that, but the other one is about how much do they pay per play for your own songs?
It depends on what venue it is, so each venue is gonna have a different rate depending on their licensing fee, and so it's gonna be based on the capacity and things like that.
So the licensing fee for, let's say, the airport would be higher than for a coffee shop.
Yes, absolutely,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Because it's based on their capacity.
That's
So like if you
what
play a
I'm
song at like Seaboys, if you play Seaboys and then go play at Moody Center, there's gonna be a big difference.
Well, that helps us to be able to set
Kind of
venues
right.
on signing up with people. To tell
Yeah, we
them.
don't handle any licensing in our office here. That's a totally separate division in Nashville, but we're just a creative office here. But happy to help facilitate any communication if you need it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What happens if we play like a really small coffee shop and they're brand new and they don't know much about licensing? So this is
Yes. Most of the time, yes. I haven't had an issue with anybody that I've known not getting paid for something that's significant in my life. If a venue isn't licensed and you enter it, it does notify our licensing team and then they are contacted, but your information is never given out saying that Kohana like went and put it in their set list. You know, there's no names given. Yes.
What about private venues, weddings, things that aren't in like a public environment?
So there's a drop-down menu when you go in there, like church services and cruises. Like there's several that are different. So like house concerts wouldn't have one, and yeah, some things like that. But it'll let you know like if it's accepted in VMware Live or if it's not. Anybody else have questions? Yes, sir.
Is there equipment in the songwriter room, like a piano or?
We have a piano stand, but you feel free to bring. You can bring in whatever you like. It's a room. I would say probably about like this corner. It's kind of small. It's got a couch and some chairs.
Okay.
Yeah. We've had a couple, 3 or 4 people in there, maybe max. So, yes.
I've had ASCAP for years, but when I called last year, it took like a year to get off. How does that work to switch bureaus?
So, ASCAP used to be annually, you would be able to switch once a year to get out of your agreement there, but now it's biannually. We are biannually as well. So if you log into your ASCAP account, you can look at your membership status and it'll let you know when your window to terminate is. And then if you submit in that window, then you'll receive a termination letter when your agreement is up. Yes.
So if a venue is not registered, like with EMI or whatever, and we report the set list, we won't get paid?
No, you will.
Even if they haven't, like,
Yeah.
paid their dues and stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that just, if they aren't in our system, then it'll notify our licensing team that this is a new venue, and they'll be able to reach out to them to get the license. Yes, sir.
Does that also work for events like festivals and whatnot that may not be on there? We've been playing festivals and I went to go try to put the festival in, it didn't show up on me.
Yeah, you just add a venue. There's a button to click and add a venue. So basically, they're kind of saying pay you, and then when they secure the license, it would just yeah. So most of the federal copyright law that use music publicly, be licensed by Bureau. So then that's when they're kind of doing like basically paying you up front and then knowing that they're going to get the license on the backside. Yes.
If you do a co-write with somebody who's not yet registered with PRO, how does that process work and what do you need from them? Is that in the future close to the
So if they're not registered, you just and you're still add them as a writer with their percentage. Where it asks you what PRO they are. There's an NA, not affiliated tab. You just click there, and then they would show up as just no IPI number NA. So they wouldn't be paid until they get an IPI number and are affiliated with the PRO.
Okay, so you would just give them the information and submitted it, so if one day they join, they have that kind of backlog of information.
If they wrote the song, but when they try to join BMI, they would still join BMI, and then they could look up and see like their name in our repertoire song view, and then it would show like a list of songs that they're listed on with no IPI number and being connected. It's really easy to get connected. Yeah.
Kristen, one of my favorite things about BMI is that you mentioned so available to the community here. What's the best way for us to interact with you guys? Email you, or do you come in the office, or your office hours, things like that?
Yeah, so we have our email austin@bmi.com, which is our generic inbox. I manage it, I check it every day, more than 10 times a day. It's always up. So I handle all of that. And then we also, we do require appointments since COVID. We are open door, but we have to have an appointment. But if you just email us or give us a call, we're happy to schedule an appointment. Both Mitch and I meet with writers most weeks. So we're just Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Do a part-time schedule, hybrid, 3 days in the office. I typically do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Mitch does Monday through Thursday. It just depends on the week. Like this week, I'm in the office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so it just kind of depends. Yes, sir.
I've often wondered, if you're writing a lot of music and you're not putting it out for streaming, is that something that we should be doing, like registering it with BMI, like just upload a demo or something?
So when you are doing registrations, you don't actually upload anything. You just put the information, like the song title, and then the writers and publishers and the percentages. So you don't actually upload any music. But if you are playing the songs out live, it is good to have them in your catalog so you can register them for BMI Live. But if they're not released and not gonna be released, I still think it's a good place to just have your songs as a catalog.
I was just going to mention that because one of the drop downs says catalog.
Yeah.
And I'm a little confused about that because it's like catalog versus.
So when you register the works, you do works registration, and when the works are processed, they go into your works catalog. So the catalog is like everything that you registered. Mm-hmm. I think it's a good place to have out all your songs. I have friends that have been like, I'm never going to release this. I said, still register it, because one day, you never know. Maybe someone will hear a demo and then it gets picked up and it's already registered,
Well, how do they hear the demo if it's not uploaded? So you just
if they have it on SoundCloud or something, if someone hears it and wants to cut it or whatever,
I've often wondered I've wondered that if we're only putting the title of a song on there, there's a million titles, but I know our name is attached to it. But how does just the title and our name connect to it when it's on the Spotify? When we're just because it's so simple to register.
So she was saying, how does it connect to know what song is actually that song? Once you register a song through BMI, it goes into our system, and then it's put through a service called Music Match, which is done with the distributors. So based on the name, like your names, the writer shares, and the publisher shares that you put in will also match what the distributors have, and that's how they're connected through Spotify and the streaming services. Yeah.
And ISRC and all that stuff too, right?
ISRCs are done for mechanical. That's like for the recordings, the different recordings. Those you don't need those for BMI. Once you assign it, when you register a song with BMI, you get an ISWC, the work code, and that's for being like on the performance side.
types of royalties are in there? Is it just mechanical then?
So if you using DistroKid, yeah, if you're using their pro admin services, then they would collect your publisher side and act as your publisher admin. And then if not, then you would just use them as a distribution service and on the mechanical side. And then on the performance side, BMI would collect everything for you. But if you use like TuneCore, DistroKid, CD Baby, they all offer pro admin services. So they register the songs for you, they handle all of that. They take a percentage out and then they receive the publisher share. You still receive the songwriter share of their BMI, but they do like all the work for you to do the registrations. Which I think.
Adding that, sorry, that's something that I never knew that. Are we supposed to be putting them on as when you request our publisher?
No, only if you're using them as, like if you use that service through them. Like when you sign up with DistroKid or TuneCore, they offer like an admin service.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, if you're not using that and then you don't need to worry. You still do the registrations yourself through BMI. I don't know what I'm at time wise. I don't know. Do we have any other questions?
One more.
Oh, yes.
I love that you guys are plugged in here locally. I think that's a really benefit, really a huge benefit to our community. What would you say about the differences between BMI, ASCAP, and SAC?
We all do the same thing. We all collect and distribute your performance royalties. I think the difference between the PROs is just having a different relationship. And there's some people that I know that are with ASCAP and they love it. They have a connection with their writer rep and they're fine with that. And then people love to come to BMI because they know Mitch and I, and they know we have local opportunities. We have stages at ACL and do shows during South by. So it's always a relationship, kind of how, that's what I think the main difference is. But we all do the same thing.
And last question, Kristen, I know you guys usually all have writers come in and hang out and write music in the room there. What's that process like with being resourced?
Yeah, anybody can request to use the writer's room. If it's not booked, then we are there. So you just send us an email and we can let you know if it's available. I usually have people in 2 to 3 times a week. We have 2 offices. Well, we have like a conference room area that we can use, and then our dedicated writer's room. Sometimes we have double booked, or bigger groups that want to come in. Yeah.
How long do you get to keep?
It's whatever. Like I have people that come in for 2 hours. I have people that want to come in for 4. So it just kind of depends on what they want to do. Yes, sir.
So someone like me who's an ASCAP member, but if I wanted to reach out to you, would I have to be a BMI publisher to do that?
Well, you can't be a BMI, or you can't be an ASCAP writer and a BMI publisher.
No,
So
I'm ASCAP writer and publisher.
okay.
I can be a publisher.
Yeah, you can create as many publishing companies as you want.
Is that the only way to communicate with you as a publisher?
No, you can feel free to reach out. I'm happy to be a resource for anything that I can help with. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even if we get people with questions, all the time. Sometimes people are like, well, do you know anybody where I can get merch? And we're like, oh, sure. We have some. So we answer all kinds of questions. So use us as a resource. We're here, and if we don't know the answer, we can either track it down or help you get the right answer. So, yes, sir.
I'm a DJ, and I'm a founder of a DJ organization here in Central Texas. I'm curious if we were to create our own music and performances, would that be able to fall under the umbrella of performance royalties and that as well?
Yeah, as long as it's your original music that you're performing. Yeah. And you could do that with the set list through BMI Live as well. And you can collect anything. But if you play songs that aren't yours out live, you wouldn't be paid for those because you didn't write them. But if you register them through BMI Live, the original writers will get paid. Yes?
How far back can you, say, oh yeah, I played this event, I forgot?
Oh, you go back 6 months.
Okay.
Yes, 6 months. Yes.
When you go onto the BMI website, I know they have the
Yeah, that's just a payout schedule. So if you look at, there'll be the dates. It's a little bit, it's the same payout dates that quarterly distributions fall for like just your normal performance royalties, but the dates that get collect is a little bit different because of the 6 months.
Okay, so it's okay if you're not lined up with that?
Yeah, as long as it's within those times. Yes.
Is that just for BMI or is that for all PROs?
I don't know about all PROs.
So it's just definitely.
Definitely for you.
How would the performance royalty stuff differ for live performance through like BMI versus in like a church setting like CCLI stuff?
You can't register church performances through BMI. Yeah, that will, it'll be in that, when you go in the drop down menu, it'll say church and it'll tell you that it's not eligible.
Gotcha.
Anything else?
Does that apply for church venues? For instance, we had the CMA host an event for South by the church where I work at. How does that work for them?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. But because the church wouldn't be, well, the churches fall under a different licensing structure, so I don't know if that even would be reported through BMI Live for that. Because but it's a South by event that's hosted there. I'm not sure on that actually. It's a good question.
What about live streams?
Live streams, no, you can't because they don't pay a licensing fee.
Okay.
But if it was like on Facebook, Facebook has a blanket license, so it probably fall under that. It would be under Meta.
YouTube or something.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering about the YouTube videos.
YouTube is paid off for BMI for views. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to be here, happy to answer any questions. Set up times for anybody to come to the office. I mean, we're here, we're available, so just let us know. Thank you. Sir.
So valuable. And now we're going to bring up Jamie from the Mechanical Licensing Collective. And while I'm loading up Jamie's presentation here, you guys see this card? This is going to be the key to unlocking vast amounts of secret knowledge. There's a whole stack of them back there on the table, and if you guys want to take the opportunity right now, literally, to go get these and use these as your guide, we're going to load up the presentation here, so please grab one. Just figure out everyone needs this, right? So, it's every time we post this, it seems like,
You have to kind of like let it digest, but like if you just keep going back to it.
that's exactly it, And I've taken 7 years to digest it,
Exactly.
But
At first it's
getting-
like still,
totally.
it's still a lot of information on one thing, but it all starts to make sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what, I'm going to explain a lot of other things.
This is good. Yeah, perfect. Well, I'm glad they're grabbing
Yeah.
it. So that's
Cool.
good.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, sweet. You get them.
This is my clicker.
I think so. I think it works either maybe. And if
Where do I
not,
have to
you
point it?
can also do that.
Yeah, I just do. I don't know where I point this thing though. Where is it?
I
Where's
don't know
the?
that even.
It might not work.
Yeah, just use it.
I'll just use this way.
Okay, you guys got settled? Everybody got their... Hold up the cards together. Yeah? Look at y'all. Great students.
There's a digital version too, so don't worry.
That's right. And we post this all the time, so... all right, guys. Please get up for Jamie Dominguez from the Mechanical Licensing Collective. She flew in from Nashville, New York. And afterwards, we'll have a brief panel discussion about how some of this stuff works. One of my favorite things about this job is improvising and winging it, as we're all musicians here. So I'm going to bring up my friend T-Double here to have this discussion with us and talk about what it looks like to have success when you actually do all the things we're talking about here today. Let's give it up for Jamie.
Guys, I actually flew in from New York. That is where I live. It's all good. People assume I'm from Nashville because our headquarters, MLC, is headquartered in Nashville, but I'm the lone New Yorker at the company. So, but I did graduate from UT just up the road, and I grew up in Dallas, so I don't like coming back, except that the allergies right now are killing me, so that's why I have my water up here in case I start having a cough. That's why. But thank you for having me. This is awesome. Thank you all for showing up. How many of you have heard of the MLC? Okay, beautiful. How many songwriters do we have in the audience today? Perfect. And are any of you members of the MLC already? Okay, all right. Well, by the end of this, all of you are going to sign up, okay? That's the goal. So help me achieve my mission here. So we're going to cover a lot of information, and I have visuals, don't worry. I know that you songwriters like visuals. So I'm going to dump a lot of information on you, but do not worry because it is overwhelming, and all of this lives online. We have amazing resources on our website. And the physical version of that digital landscape, we also have a digital version of it on our website, and I'm also going to share a QR code as part of my deck here, so never fear. Okay, so the Music Modernization Act. Did you guys hear about that? Okay, so that was passed in 2018, basically to update the old, antiquated copyright laws from 1909. So as you know, streaming really became the main way people consumed music since 2007. And in that time, from 2007 until the Music Modernization Act was passed, there was really nothing in place in the law that covered how they were going to pay streaming royalties for mechanical performances. We're going to get into what mechanical royalties are in a second, but basically this is what the Music Modernization did. Three very important things. It created a blanket license that all of the streaming services would pay in order to legally use your music. That is something that didn't exist prior to the MLC, so it was important to create a blanket license that would cover all of the music that was on a streaming platform. Number two, they mandated the creation of the Mechanical Licensing Collective, which would be the entity that would administer this blanket license to all of the streaming services. And then number three was we were mandated to create a public database that would be accessible to everybody in the world, no matter if you were a member of the MLC or not, so that it would make it easy to locate rights holders. So you as a songwriter are a rights holder. If you have a publisher or an administrator acting on your behalf, they're rights holders as well. And it would be really easy to find that information for any song that lives on a streaming platform, but also in our database. Okay, what are mechanical royalties? So, very basic 101, copyright 101, but I feel like it's always beneficial to go over it because you can't assume that everybody remembers, because I always have to remind myself of the differences, even now. So basically you have your performance royalties, which we just talked about. BMI pays you your performance royalties for you as a songwriter and as a publisher. And that is for any performances of your songs on radio, television, film, broadcast radio, even digital radio. But what a mechanical royalty is so let me dial back actually. So a song performance royalty is based on the song or the composition, right? So the song or the composition is the lyrics, the melody, anything that makes up the musical work as it's referred to in copyright law, or the song. And then you have the sound recording, which is the reproduction of that song or composition, and that is where mechanical royalties come in. That's the actual royalty that's generated every time your song is played after it's been recorded. So back in the day, before the digital era, it was vinyl, cassette, CD, and now, as part of the Music Modernization Act, mechanicals are now also considered, they're also paid by streaming. So you receive streaming mechanical royalties from MLC, and BMI is going to pay you on the performance side for streaming. Got it? Is that clear? Okay, cool. All right, so before the Music Modernization Act, each streaming service basically had to handle all of the administration. They had to license each individual rights holder. So if you weren't represented by a publisher or an administrator, then they would have to find you and license you. Obviously, this is an impossible task because there are a lot of, how many independent songwriters do we have in here that don't have, okay. So you don't have a publisher, you don't have an administrator, how are they gonna find you? It's gonna be really difficult. So they struggled with that, that's number one. Also, being that they couldn't find all of these rights holders, they weren't paying out these royalties, they were just sitting there. That's what we used to call the black box. So when you hear people refer to the black box, that's that money that was just sitting there unpaid, that was due to you, the rights holders. And when we were created, after the MLC was formed, that was one of the mandates, was all of the DSPs had to send that black box money to the MLC, and we had to then match all of those historical royalties to the rights holders and pay them out over time. So, if you want to know how much that was, it was $397 million. And we've paid out over 60% of that now. We've been doing it in phases. It's a very complicated process, as you can imagine, because number one, we have to make sure you're registered with the MLC in order to pay you. So people have been, over the last 5 years, since we, it's about to be 6 years, but 5 years, our first operational year was 2021. So that was the first distribution. So since then, we've been able to distribute over half of those historical royalties, which is great. But you still have time. We have about another year to hold on to those royalties. If you haven't already registered with us, that's important that you do before it gets redistributed into the market share. And I can answer questions about market share later, but I don't want to confuse you. So that's basically what happened. And post MMA, now there's an efficient way to make sure all of your music is licensed properly with the streaming services. There's the database, so there's transparency, and everybody can easily find a rights holder, and everyone's getting paid as long as you register. So that's basically the purpose of the MLC. We are the only entity that is administering the blanket license. So no other company in the U.S. is doing this. We were designated by the U.S. Copyright Office to do this specific job. It's a big job, and as of today, we have distributed over about $4.5 billion in mechanical royalties, streaming mechanical royalties since 2021. So, but there's still a lot of work to do. So it never ends. Literally, will never end. Okay, so that's how it works. The stream happens. Once you register with the MLC, you're signed up. Stream of your song happens. The DSPs send us monthly. They send us a report of all of the data associated with the songs that are performed, and we process all of that data, and then you get paid, and we pay on a monthly basis. What we do and what we don't do. Okay, as you know, this is a very confusing business. It wasn't set up very artist-friendly, I would say. And you have to kind of chase after your money, unfortunately. So people get confused. They get confused, understandably confused, because you have to register with all of these different entities in order to collect your money. So I think the biggest confusion is the difference between the PRO and the MLC. As you already can tell, we are completely different, and we collect different streams of royalties. So just because you are a member of BMI or ASCAP or CSAC or any other PRO around the world does not mean that you can't be a member of the MLC. You need to be a member of both. You need to have your MLC membership in place in order to collect this specific stream of royalties, which is specific to streaming and mechanical royalties. So we are responsible for maintaining the public database, making sure that all of the data in there is accurate and up to date. We are responsible for administering the blanket license to all the streaming services and processing all of that data. So we receive all of the data from the streaming services. We have to match that data with what's in our database, and then we distribute all of those mechanical royalties to you. What we do not do is collect performance royalties. That's BMI's job, and CSAC and ASCAP, GMR, whoever you belong to. And we do not collect or administer digital performance royalties. That is done by a company called Sound Exchange. Is everyone aware of Sound Exchange? Are people members of Sound Exchange? Registered with Sound Exchange? Okay, we'll get into that a little bit later, but that's like the third entity that you need to be registered with to collect a different stream of money, which is specific to performance royalties, but only for digital performances for featured performers on a sound recording. We'll go back to that later, so put a pin in that one. We don't administer rights or collect royalties for physical products. So, you know, what I talked about before, vinyl, CDs, cassettes, any of those physical versions of sound recordings, we don't pay for those. We're only covering streaming. Audiovisual products, so we don't cover YouTube, we don't cover TikTok, nothing audiovisual, strictly audio streaming uses. And we don't collect royalties outside of the United States for streaming. We were born out of US law, our only jurisdiction is within the US. But if you are an international songwriter who has music streaming on a US platform, we will pay you, of course. So we do pay globally, but we don't pay for international streams. So if there's one thing, two things you get out of that, we're not gonna replace your PRO and we're not gonna replace Sound Exchange. I like to refer to the three of us as the holy trinity for songwriters. You have your PRO, you have MLC, and you have Sound Exchange. Okay, so key metrics. Like I mentioned, we've distributed $4.4 billion in total royalties processed. We're about to do another distribution, so that'll just keep going up. Historical royalties distributed, we're at about 230 million in those historical earnings distributed. 91.9% match rate. What that refers to is every time the DSPs, so Spotify, you know, Apple Music, any of these streaming platforms, when they send us their data monthly, we're matching 91.9% of that data with what is in our database. So that's pretty good. If there's anything missing, it's probably because you're not registered, so get registered. We have now 82,000 members. And 372,000 followers on social media. So follow us on social media if you want to get those numbers up. But we also have a lot of information, and we do a lot of these things virtually as well, and about all types of topics, not just MLC related, but things that are sort of adjacent to us. So super, super helpful to always stay tapped in. Okay, 4 possible ways songwriters get paid. We're talking specifically about digital performances and digital uses. So if you're a songwriter, we talked about you know, the song, the composition, the musical work, and then the sound recording side, right? So you can get paid as a songwriter for the song or your composition from performance royalties and from mechanical royalties. So we already spoke about that, but I'm gonna. This is where this landscape that you have in your hand comes in. And then on the sound recording side, you have master royalties, which come from your label or your distributor, and then you have performance royalties that come from Sound Exchange on the digital side. All right, so here's the magic, whatever you want to call this. I don't know. There you go. Okay, magic juju. Yes, perfect. Okay, so this is basically showing you on both sides of you know, the song, the musical word side, and the sound recording side, how you're going to get paid for your digital performances as a songwriter. You already know all of this, but just like a nice visual aid for you guys. And it takes a bit to digest it. It's still a lot on one page, but it's funny because we have simplified this like 50 times, and there's no way really to simplify it anymore. This is just the way it is, unless we leave out information, and we don't want to do that, so it's what it is. But you have your public performance royalties, which come from your PROs, ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC, and they're going to pay you as a songwriter and a publisher. The MLC is paying you for your mechanical royalties on the publishing side as well. We're not paying you as a songwriter, so to speak. When you register with us, we're paying you publishing. Everything goes to your publishing. So you don't have to create a publishing entity with us, though. It's just your name as a user, but it's publishing royalties. Those are just like semantics in our industry that make it very confusing, but I'm just explaining it so you understand that you do not have to do anything but sign up under your legal name and we'll pay you. Sound recordings, you have the royalties that you're generating on the master side, which is going to come to you directly if you're self-released, independent artist. You're going to get that directly from your distributor or the aggregator that you use. And if you do have a record label deal, that's going to come through your record label to you. And then last but not least, we have Sound Exchange. They are going to pay you, like I said, on the sound recording side, but as a performer. So they're not paying you as a songwriter, they're paying you as a performer, or a feature performer or non-feature performer. So what that means is you could be the artist, or you could be a background singer, a musician on a track. All of these performances, or all of these, you know, whatever role you're playing, that's what Sound Exchange is going to pay you every time your song, your recording is performed digitally. And then they also, I'm not like the best at explaining the SAG after thing, but that's also connected to the Sound Exchange money as well. There's a fund for that. Okay, so that's the gist of it. We also have it digitally, so if you guys want to scan the QR code, you can also have it on your phone. But again, we have this online as well. So please, please, please use it. I would say, you know, just the more you stare at it, the more it just seeps in by osmosis. So like, you know, tape it on your bathroom mirror while you're brushing your teeth or something, I don't know, and just, you know, let it sink in. But it really is very helpful and kind of breaks it down in a simple way. All right, how to get started. So we're free to join. We're a nonprofit, and the beautiful thing about how we're created and how we're organized is that since we were born out of the Music Modernization Act, the U.S. Copyright Office also mandated that we would be funded by the digital service providers. So all the streaming services are funding our operating costs, which means we do not take any admin fees out of your royalties. We're paying you 100% of your royalties as mandated by the Music Modernization Act. So there is no reason not to join. You're not paying to join, and we're not taking any admin fees from your royalties. So it's really a no-brainer. You're going to set up a user account first, and it's pretty easy. There's just going to be some, you know, very specific know your customer kind of, you know, security is pretty robust on our end. As you know, there's streaming fraud happens, and there's a lot of ways that we need to verify your identity. So So you're going to go through that process. It's going to ask you some qualifying questions, whether you're a songwriter or if you are working on behalf of a songwriter, so a publisher, an admin company, a manager, an attorney. It's going to ask all of those questions. Okay, so we have two different hubs within our portal, which basically is differentiated by whether or not you're independent, meaning you don't have a publisher or administrator, you're self-administered, or if you have somebody working on your behalf to manage your account. So the member hub is for our direct members, okay? So if you are managing all of your catalog on your own, then the member hub is how you can still engage with all of the songs that are in our database that you you're a rights holder basically. So the way that works is, let me explain the Songwriter Hub. So the Songwriter Hub is for those that have a publisher or administrator representing them and managing their account for them. So the difference is, obviously your publisher or administrator is going to control your catalog. They're going to be the ones authorized to make changes to your catalog and handle all of the distribution of the royalties to you. So you wouldn't be able to make changes directly onto your account. This is all security. So what would happen is you would still be able to look inside the hood, so to speak, because you can kind of manage your account, but you create a separate account, which would be you as a songwriter, and you can still organize your catalog and suggest changes, but your publisher or your administrator would still have to act on your behalf to adapt those changes. And then you can also propose, there's songs that are unmatched, like I said, because people aren't registered yet, and so they've gone unmatched with songs that are in our database. So if you do a search in our database and you see that one of your songs is unmatched, then you can propose that should be a match, and that all of that will go to your publisher or your administrator to notify them to make sure they match that. And then the member hub, like I said, is for people who are, most of you in this room that don't have publishing or administrator deals, you would be able to register with us directly and handle all the admin for your account. So you can register and manage all of the songs, and then you can change your tax information, you can see all your royalty statements and download them. But I highly recommend getting all of this done ASAP after you've set up your PRO. If you're not registered with a PRO, I always like to, I think that's always the first step. And then do the MLC part of your business. Okay, so we provide a lot of tools to help you manage your catalog. These are the main ones that you need to be aware of. I'm not going to get too into the weeds with this, but the claiming tool is basically how you would claim shares of works that are already registered in our system. So maybe you had a co-writer who already registered these works or claimed them, but your share, your percentage, your split of the song is still unclaimed because you weren't registered. So that's the tool that you would use to claim existing works in our database. The registration tool is to register new songs that aren't in our database yet. The matching tool is how you would suggest matches for the data that is coming in from the streaming services and what we already have in our songs that we have registered in our database. And then the overclaims tool. The overclaims tool is, if you see something that, maybe there's your co-writer or a publisher or administrator overclaimed a portion of a work that you are partly owner of, then you can resolve it through the overclaims tool. And that the royalties would be on hold, obviously, while that's being worked out. And then you can always export your data. It's always available to you. And then this is specifically on the member hub, so people who have publishing and admin deals, these are the tools that they have access to. again, I won't spend too much time on this because I think most of you will be direct members. But there's some variation here because you wouldn't have the ability to claim shares directly. So there's the catalog creation tool where you can just kind of peruse our database and create your own catalog by searching. And then there's the data correction tool where you can correct any information that, we're humans, we make mistakes, so maybe whoever put in the information misspelled your name or something like that, you can correct it there or submit corrections there. Co-writer search tool, if you want to just search someone you've co-written with and you want to see all of your songs in one place, you can do that through our Songwriter Hub. And then, again, the matching tool, you can suggest matches, which would go to your publisher or administrator. Okay, and then, like I said before, we have tons of resources on our website. It's also part of our mandate from the Copyright Office. They were very, very adamant about us being big on education and making sure the songwriting creative community understands how all of this works. So that is a big, big push. We have a ton of resources for songwriters, for music publishers. If you're a DSP, if you're an attorney, if you're an educator, if you're a student, and in various languages too. We're working on more languages. So, okay, so this is our toolkit. If you want to scan this QR code, it has a few things. We're always updating it too, but there's a really good explainer video, 60 seconds. Gives a nice encapsulated, quick elevator pitch. I don't want to say pitch because we're not selling anything. We don't have to sell you anything to claim your own money, right? But yeah, so that's what it is. And then it has a songwriter checklist of the things that you need to do, register with your PRO, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is in there. Super helpful. We have a split sheet that you can use as a template. And that same digital landscape graphic I shared with you. And like I said, we're always adding to it. So definitely use that, share it with everybody you know, and I really encourage you to share all of this information with any of your collaborators and co-writers, or if you have a manager or anybody on your team that you think would benefit from this. If it gets overwhelming, don't worry, because we have an incredible support team. They are truly, truly, truly the best. Like I worked at a PRO for a long time, and it is really difficult to manage all the questions you get. So it's really important if you run into some issues and you need help managing your catalog. Please don't just don't give up and let it sit, because you'll never do it. You won't go back to it. Reach out to our support team. They're incredible. They will get back to you, and they will spend as much time as you need to walk through all of it. The best way, the way that I recommend, is through our portal, that contact us form in the middle, because it gets ticketed and then it lives online, so you can always go back to it. You can your conversation, all the information that's provided to you, all the guidance that you receive is going to be tracked, and you can always look back at it. I think that's the best way, but you can also get on the phone, and you can also do a chat in our portal as well. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, all the socials, Instagram, X, Facebook, YouTube. Like I said, we do a ton of webinars. We do IG Lives. We do live things like this. And, we're always linked to other organizations doing things, so it's a really great way to stay connected and engaged. And I think that's it. How am I doing on time? Do we have, oh yeah, we have plenty of time. I think we have like 10 minutes, right, for questions? Is that cool? Are we good, Pat? For another, okay.
Do we have any questions?
Yes.
Which lane should I choose to register if I did register with my PRO as a publisher?
Oh, okay. So if you registered with your PROs, you're fine. So, but you don't have a publisher, a third party that's handling.
Third party, it's me.
Okay. So you would just sign up as you, and then the way that we would pay you is it would be on the public. It would be publishing, but you don't create a publishing entity with us.
Okay.
So yeah. Yes.
So, thank you. The member hub, the songwriter hub is for those who have an outside publisher.
Yeah, songwriter hub. Yeah.
I'm my own publisher, so would I be using the
Member hub. Member hub. Yeah, you would actually be a member of the MLC directly. Songwriter hub is for people who are songwriters but don't have a publisher.
Right, and I don't have to mention my publisher.
Or I do have a publisher. Sorry.
I don't have to mention my publisher because you're not dealing with the publisher.
Right. Correct. Correct.
Gotcha.
Okay.
You mentioned you guys cover everything streaming in the US, like international streaming of songs written and recorded here. Who captures that?
So it depends on the country, but oftentimes a lot of the PROs will collect that money on your behalf because they have reciprocal agreements with other countries. So in a lot of other countries, they also handle mechanical and performance simultaneously. So a lot of that will come through your PRO. If not, yeah, I mean that's generally what would happen. Yeah. Anybody else?
Do you have information on signers like sound exchange that you're talking about?
Yeah, just go to their website and yeah, and they probably like us, they will probably have money sitting there waiting for you. You know, most of you who have had music streaming on platforms since 2007 will probably have money waiting for you. So yeah, do it sooner than later for sure. Yes.
Just a quick question. So if I've been with MLC since 2024, and I think I've done it all correctly, and several of my other songwriter friends, but I personally have not received any money from the MLC. When I go there and I make my regular reports, like from BMI, and I get on there and I'm like, oh yay, and then there's no yay.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, like, am I doing something wrong? Am I missing a step because I don't have any songs out there?
And you have done the whole matching, claiming process after you registered with the MLC?
Probably not then.
Okay, yeah, so
missing a step.
yeah, so once you sign up and become a member, you do have to go and use those tools that I showed you. So you do have to make sure all of your songs are matched properly and claim your shares of songs that maybe are already in our system. So there's a two-part process there. And again, if you run into any issues, I just spoke to a manager yesterday who he said it was pretty easy, like he was able to figure it out. But you know, if you run into problems again, I would use our support team. But yes, so once it's a very important step. I will not stress it anymore. Like it is, you become a member, but then you actually do have to make sure your songs are registered properly, that your catalog is all, you know, everything is up to date.
So that next link that says register your songs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go through there.
Yeah, and we have a tutorial. We have, if you go to our YouTube channel, we have tutorials on how to do the matching and the claiming. The matching process goes through, like, once we receive that data from the DSPs, there's an automated process and then a manual process. So, like, automation happens first, then our internal team, our data scientists do some manual matching, but then whatever's left, you have to make sure to do that. So it's really important.
So I probably have money in the black box?
Most likely. Most likely. I don't want to make promises, but most likely. If you've had music streaming since 2007 and you see plays on there, then yes. Unless it's under, I can't remember what our threshold is. I think it's $5. I don't know. Maybe it's $1. But yeah, you probably do. Anybody else? Yes.
You mentioned that you guys at the MLC, they don't deal with royalties outside of the US.
Mhm.
Would you say that that's what PRO does, or who?
Yes, so the PRO, your PRO, whoever you're registered with here in the US, they have reciprocal agreements with other countries. So in most of the other countries, a lot of them, I would say a good majority of them, they handle mechanicals and performance. So they'll send those monies to your PRO and they'll pay you. In other, I mean, there's very few instances where you wouldn't. There are also some CMOs, collective man organizations in other countries that might send the money to us and then we would pay you, but it just depends on the country. Yeah, in the back.
Does the music have to be actively streamed currently in order to be shown up on this? Because I had an album up and I took it down, and it was up for a while, and it was streamed for years.
It should still be in our database. Yeah, how long ago was it?
I took it down like 3 years ago, I think.
Okay. I would guess that it's still there. I mean, again, like I don't want to misinform you, but I would assume that the data is still living in our database. So you could actually go into our database, into the public search today, and search your song titles and see if it comes up. Yeah. And I would encourage all of you to do that. Like, you can just type in whatever you want. And if you're just curious about a song and who the rights holders are, anybody has access to this. The whole point is to create this transparency so everybody can access the information. So I have people that use the database for all kinds of things. Like, I have filmmaker friends who use it. I have, A&R people at companies that use it to see who has, because you can see who the top performing songs are in a lot of cases. So, I have A&R friends that use it to see who their next signing is going to be. So, yeah, I would recommend it. Go ahead.
Is there a set rate for the mechanical?
Yes, that's a great question. There is a rate, and we don't determine the rate. The rate is determined by the copyright royalty board, and it depends on the market share of that streaming service, et cetera. So I can't give you the exact rate, but yes, there is a specific rate. We don't determine it. The CRB determines it, and it's changing. It changes every 5 years, I believe, and so I think we're about to go to rate court soon. So that's a big thing that our legal department is.
We're going to talk more about that. I got a couple of things to say.
Nice. Yes. And this is also, this is also a thing where, as songwriters, I would encourage you guys really to get into the advocacy part of it, because there's so much that happens behind the scenes that affects how you get paid. For instance, how we exist now is because of advocacy that happened to make sure the Music Modernization Act got passed. If you look back into it, it was so many years of work and songwriters telling their stories, going to Capitol Hill, being involved in the advocacy to get this legislation passed. And as we go into the CRB ruling that's going to come up, we really need you guys to help, advocate for yourselves. So there's ways to do that. I'm sure Pat will get into that too, but the Recording Academy does a lot of advocacy on songwriters' behalf. So if you're not a member of the Recording Academy too, that's a great place to start. But yeah, SONA is a great organization. Songwriters North America, they're amazing advocates for the creative community as well. One more question? Are we good? Okay, yes.
Just to make sure the steps are correct, the sequence as far as registering the song. So after you register the song and it shows up in your catalog on MLC, is there another step to get them linked to, or is that the final step once you see it in the catalog?
It's kind of a three-prong approach, because there might be songs that aren't registered yet that you'll have to register, new works that you need to register, but then there may be songs that you collaborated on that have already been registered because your co-writer or their publisher registered it on their behalf. And so your information is already in there, but then you would just have to claim your share. So there's matching, there's claiming, and there's registering. So it's going to be a combination of all three, depending on how big your catalog is, really. But yeah, it sounds crazy right now, but I guarantee when you're in there doing it, it'll make a lot more sense. It's a little.
It's in the catalog.
Yeah. So once you become a member, you'll see in your portal there's options on the left side to claim, to match, to register, and it will make more sense, I promise. And if it doesn't, call our support team. One more? I keep saying one more, but.
Sorry, we need to do a quick break.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah. Quick break, bathroom, come back now.
And I'm here, so you can stalk me back in that back area.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you guys. Y'all, thank you for listening.
Yeah, we're gonna take 5 here. Real quick, I just want to give a couple more shout outs. Our board vice president, Bruce Beck here, who did so much work on the front end to get this thing together. Our chief marketing officer over here, Mary, who has worked really, really hard to put all this together today. Our community manager back here, Ronnie Rao, amazing musician in town. He's been checking all in. And Eric Booth back here with Eric Booth Photography. This guy is one of the best musician photographers in town. He actually creates real art with his photos, so I love this guy. And finally, the sweet baby Jesus for giving us this beautiful holy life to speak inside today. Let's take a 5-minute break. We're going to come back for a brief panel discussion. We'll see y'all in just a minute. Yeah, thank you for being out. Terry, will you come over today, please? I'm tapping my friends here. He didn't know I was going to do this song, but it's just glad you're here. Okay. And we're just going to talk, this is a little bit of an informal discussion, but, a minute ago, a very important point came up with Jamie. We're going to talk a little bit about the advocacy portion of this stuff. And then I also want to kind of talk about, we've heard, we can kind of imagine what happens when you don't do any of the registration of these things, nothing, right? But the success stories of what can happen if you do all this stuff by the book and treat this as a business, this is one of our sterling examples here. A kid from Keeling, Tierney Johnson, local legend, T-Double. I want to hear a little bit more about how you've had some success in the industry just by doing exactly the things we talked about today.
Yeah, first of all, how's everybody doing today? Everybody doing okay? Musicians? Yeah, basically, I'm more into the sing space, so I do a lot of stuff with film, TV, animation, also performing a lot. But basically, with the ownership of the publishing and the MLC, it comes down to owning your art. You do all the proper paperwork. You do that first, so that when the opportunities come later, you're already well prepared. You're already secure. You already know the ownership. You already know your splits of the songs. You already done your cue sheets. You already know all these, who gets paid for what, so you're not, I think there was a question earlier about somebody added somebody else to a song sheet and they know who did what. Those things kind of don't happen because you had that discussion early on. When a lot of people come to my studio and they would record, one of the first things we do is a split sheet to say who gets paid what, when, where, who contributed how. Excuse me. So when I get a placement, like, Breaking Bad or Westworld or King Kong, those things, then everybody knows what they're getting paid from. And I don't have to retroactively go back and change who did what, change who owns what, or any of those type of things.
That's really helpful. You've had placements on Breaking Bad and a lot of other things, and it's I think it's harder than ever as an artist, I think, to get paid. We know that performance pay rates have been frozen basically since the 80s. Streaming essentially has decimated a lot of forms of revenue we had, 20 years ago. This has been happening now. And then, of course, in Austin, we have an affordability crisis. And then now with artificial intelligence, it's created those generative AI training models that have gone even further in decimating our intellectual property. So the reason we're here today really is to talk about one of the really valid ways that we can still make money as artists and have a career in the music industry.
Let me kind of add to that a little bit too. With sync, it's a little bit different because yes, you get paid for your PRO, your BMI, from when things are shown in film, TV, those type of things. But it's also other ways of getting paid with sync as well, like upfront money, different ways you can strategize your deal. A lot of sync, I'm sure we'll have a panel on this later, but a lot of things with sync is you give a sync agent, they'll say they want 50%, you get 50%. And we take that as law, we're really a suggestion, right? Like, how about I get 50, you get 50? Well, how about you get 18 and I get whatever. Like, you can make those type of, those things, you're not forced into that box of 50-50. But in those type of cases, sometimes you have to give a publishing if they give you X amount of dollars as well. So there's a negotiation about what you're willing to give up from your song in return for that opportunity. And in most cases, you can say, okay, I want to be in this movie, they're offering me $100,000, but they want the publishing for that song. Are you willing to do that? Yes or no? Most would, depending on your situation. But you can also say, I'll give you this much of the publishing, and I'll take this much in cash. So the sync was really
important now than ever for you as a songwriter and a creator to make sure that you're being heard and that you are advocating for fairness and making sure that all the steps are and all the protocols are in place so that there's more transparency and you know there's more pathways for you to get your money without all of this, you know, we know how it was created, right? Like it was exploitative in a negative sense, so to speak, but you know, it doesn't have to be. You know, exploitation is also positive, right? Like you want your money, you want to be able to grow with all of the options that are out there for your music to be accessible now. But the problem with that is that it makes it more complicated in terms of how the revenue flows to you. So it's such a Wild West phase we're in right now, especially with AI and all these things that are taking over the conversation. And while they are figuring out how to legally create parameters around that, it's really important now for you to be involved in that conversation. So I think the sense of urgency now is greater than it was ever before because, you know, everyone's freaking out about potential thought AI taking over, you know, the career, which I don't think it ever will, because how could it? You know, music is the thing that connects people to it, is the soul behind it. So I don't think it ever will, but it will affect, you know, how music is synced, for instance. A lot of these companies are like, one day they're just going to have an AI-generated song, you know. So there are things that are going to impact you, and then of course fraud, right, or things like that you know, maybe you're not credited for something that you should be credited for. So all these things that are happening right now, or are being figured out right now, because there is nothing in place in the law right now. So that's why this is such a big conversation. Super important for you to get involved. You know, I use the MLC as an example. We're probably the biggest example of advocacy that came to fruition. And you know, look at us 5 years later, we got paid out almost $4.5 billion. So imagine if that didn't exist. You still would be royalties. Like, streaming has become the biggest revenue stream right now in music. So, you know, just imagine if something like that hadn't happened, if legislation wasn't passed. Like, and the reason it happened was because of the songwriters actually playing a part in that legislation. Sorry, I just need to hop that.
It's the biggest subject for me, so I can talk about this all later.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything. It's very important. BMI is a dedicated person in DC who is fighting constantly in court with the legal team that to help songwriters and to fight for higher rates. And we actually, it makes me proud to work for a company that's really transparent. They post things online all the time with those court, like with what comes out of those court hearings. If it's an appeal, if it's, you know, okay, we did this, if you're appealing, there's a whole, and all the information on AI is very transparent on our website. And I love that we have that and that we're fighting for songwriters.
Thank you, Kristen. And I know we're getting close on time, but I'm going to ask Terry about his songs, and then I want to give y'all everybody an example of how advocacy can really work and how we've seen it work.
Yeah, and you know, I was on the board of the Grammys for the Texas chapter, so we had Grammys on the Hills. We fought for the Music Monetization Act, so we do a lot of things as well. As was mentioned, definitely join into the Academy because it's more than the show you see on Sunday night when you're on stage dancing. The Grammys itself is actually a full day of things before you see what's on TV. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that we all know and you should learn about that benefits you in the long run. You know, the Grammys were also fighting for getting credit on songs. So the producers would get proper credit, the songwriters would get proper credit when you download and you stream and you see who really worked on these records. So it's a continuous effort by everybody up here to make sure that the artist wins and benefits from that. So do your part, become a part, you know, and take your part.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm going to tell y'all we started 7.5 years ago, quite literally just to do advocacy here in the Austin music community, do some deep listening. You know, we started as a Facebook group in 2008, and over 11 years' time, the need in our community grew so great that we sort of split off and formed this nonprofit effort. Some of the first things we did were to lobby city council and bring a bunch of musicians together to go down to City Hall. And we ended up helping create the Live Music Fund, which I know a bunch of you guys probably just got. And that's been going three rounds now. I think they've awarded $14 million. We also helped create a city standard pay rate of $200 per musician for all city-sponsored performances, and now that applies to all third-party contractors contracting with the city, all grants. You got to pay that city standard rate to musicians. But on the federal level, we saw something a few years ago, and this is something I was dating an entertainment attorney at the time. I learned a lot of interesting things at that time. I didn't realize this, but apparently I understand that songwriters are the only working class that have their rate of pay dictated by the federal government, by the CRB. So we saw this songwriter down in Nashville named George Johnson. And George was like David and Goliath. He was talking about, well, you know what, the mechanical royalty rate for physical product, CDs and vinyl, had been frozen since 2006. No cost of living increase over all that time until 2022 to account for changes in streaming, decimating CD sales and vinyl sales and all that kind of stuff. It was frozen at 9 cents per unit. So we kind of got together a lot of public comment from you guys. We pulled that together into one document, got together with some entertainment attorneys here in town, and with our local congressman, Lloyd Doggett. He took that up to DC and kind of stirred the pot. And the great thing we learned about music advocacy is that it reaches across the aisles. Every politician wants to look cool to their contingency by representing music, and so they're always pretty generally cooperative with this stuff. The next thing you know, we have a meeting with the U.S. Copyright Royalty Board, and we realize that these hearings come up every few years, and generally the rate is set because the organizations that sometimes purport to represent songwriters, who's on their boards, YouTube, Spotify, stuff like that. And so it's really a matter of just awareness. And when we find that musicians are able to identify, oh, I have a voice over here. I just have to show up. That's it. The next one, Jamie, forgive me if I'm wrong, it's coming up this next year.
Yeah.
So we have a job to do, right? We're going to get together. We're going to put together a public comment. We're going to submit that to the U.S. Copyright Royalty Board judges, and we're going to get some streaming royalty rates changed. How's that sound? I know that sounds crazy and like a lofty and unreachable goal, but seeing this crazy stuff happen here, we managed to make an impact, so I know we can do this stuff. How are we doing on time? 2, 3 minutes? Do we have some questions out there?
I do have a question about regarding the parking, that if we do get a ticket, what do we do with it?
Just send them to Mary back there. No, I'm kidding. So let us know.
Right here, handouts, take these with you, please.
There we go.
There's an email address. If you have a ticket on your car, just send an email, say hi with this event, and it's done.
I wasn't wrong. Talk to Mary.
Done. Got you.
Yeah. Awesome.
You know, mentioning parking, can we talk about getting some sort of parking pass for musicians in this town?
Oh, great. So, can I work on just another thing? Last year, I wedged my way onto the Downtown Commission for the City of Austin. And then I sort of wedged my way into the city's 2027 city budget working group. And I pushed through. Last month, we passed it unanimously at the Downtown Commission. It's a downtown vision plan that we've been working on for years. includes free, safe escort till 3 a.m. with the Downtown Austin Alliance ambassadors, the guys in the red shirts and khakis downtown. They're going to expand the staff and extend the program till 3 a.m. And we're creating a creative hub green room, we call it. It's Central Presbyterian where, so you got a sound check at 6, your gig's at 10, you got a safe, quiet, sober place to go work for a while. That stuff is going to the council agenda probably in May, so we're going to be jockeying support with council behind the scenes to build up to that. When we get to that council meeting, I need people. I need y'all to come and give us a show of support. It's going to look really good if we come correct with council. We'll state our case, and presumably by then it will have already passed on consent agenda. But we have some work here.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
How far out is the reach of this organization? Because I'm in New Braunfels, so from Mount County, do y'all extend and help out?
We do.
The outside?
Yeah, and we're trying to go across the state, across the country. Sorry. We're trying to go across the state, across the country eventually. But yeah, right now, we're whatever. Here in New Braunfels, here in San Antonio, we're going to.
If you want to show up to support and help advocate, is it the newsletter the most important thing?
Yeah, I think the news. I think the newsletter is great. You know how to reach out to me directly. We're always, open and available. And honestly, yelling at City Hall and especially state senators is one of my favorite things.
How do we get the news?
So sign up. Mary will talk to you about that if we want to, but you can go on our website, subscribe to the email list, and you'll get our newsletters. We send out about twice a month.
Yeah, but you can also sign up on the contact us form so you can subscribe or send any note at any time. We are actively engaging in that. So we're here. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah. And I think we're at time, but did you guys want to relay anything else to the audience?
Yeah, I'm just saying, also make sure you look into Sonic Guild. I'm on the advisory board of that. I also helped start Austin Music Foundation, which became Black Fred, which became Sonic Guild. Looking at that, we also have panels and workshops. We just gave out our second year producer grants. We usually give out artist grants, but now we're starting to give out money to producers. And over the last 8 years, I believe we've given out maybe $10 million, $14 million to local musicians. So, yeah.
What about songwriters?
Songwriters too, just look into it. There's something there for everybody. If you're a songwriter or a producer or in a band, just reach out. SonicGuild.org, and there's plenty. Go through the table of contents and see where you're fitting in that.
So we're all going to head outside right next door to us, right out the main doors here. There's a little historic carriage house. We're going to meet there for some food and beverages, and my friend Jay Stanley is going to be playing jazz guitar for us. We're just going to hang out and talk a little bit. So don't meet us outside in the shade. Once again, thank you to Kristen Felton for being on
Yeah.